Hi everyone, this video is about stress, and we're living in quite a stressful situation in the United States right now. There's a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of things feel outside of our control. Stress is usually caused by external factors. It can be financial, it can be problems within the family system, it could be issues at work, it can also be ongoing problems like racism and misogyny um, and other forms of discrimination cause stress. Stress kind of keep your engine idling all the time. This changes your cortisol function. It can slow your digestion, increase your appetite, so it causes weight gain. It's associated with chronic illness, especially autoimmune diseases in women. It's associated with thyroid issues in women. Um, so it's a mental health issue that has social origins and serious health and mental health impacts. We need to take it very, very seriously. My favorite book on stress is this one, which is called Burnout, Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. And, oops, and it's written by Emily Nagoski and her twin Amelia. And it's fantastic. So, I'm going to give you a few sort of tips around stress, but this book will really, really be super helpful to you. And, um, you know, women talk about exhaustion, and there's a lot of parts to stress. Uh, One is, having negative interactions with people, taking on a lot of responsibility, what Kate Mann calls human giver syndrome, which is feeling as though you are supposed to be the provider of emotional care and, boots on the ground action for the people in your life, your friends, family, your loved ones, and and others as well. So I think people who care can really have that tendency to be empathic and compassionate. Um, uh, People can take advantage of that, and you can be on overdrive. And there's really an expectation that you're not a good woman unless you're on overdrive. There's a lot of feeling of perfectionism that is part of being, assigned the social role of being female in our society. So excess responsibility is a huge part of stress. And one thing women can do for each other is to not pressure each other to engage in a lot of giving, to be able to hear no from other women, to respect other women's limits, and instead of pushing them to do the volunteering and the holiday stuff, the kin keeping, actually saying, that is not your responsibility alone. And if other people in the family are not willing, or other people in the community are not willing to take that on, that doesn't mean it's on your shoulders. So encouraging women to push back on that cultural message that they exist to provide for others. That would be a huge thing that women could do for each other. So if you have a sister-in-law who says, I just don't want to do the whole Thanksgiving thing, instead of making her feel bad about it, ask, is there something that we could do instead? Maybe we do a family hike. We don't have to exhaust ourselves in the kitchen. And yeah, just having a view that the tasks that women are expected to do, let's move them out of mandatory and into voluntary, into that voluntary category. And let's think outside the box a little bit more about how our families could celebrate together or enjoy time together. It doesn't create exhaustion for someone else. There's a really important part of the book that talks about time and how stress is increased when we have a perception of a task requiring sort of taking a certain amount of effort and taking a certain amount of time, and then that being misjudged. So if we are, thinking I'm going to go to the grocery store and get bananas and milk, and you hit the road, and you hit traffic on the way, you thought it was going to just take you 25 minutes, and you're sitting in the car in traffic for 25 minutes, and then you get to the grocery store and, something happens, you drop the bananas, there aren't any bananas, they don't have the milk that you like. All of that are factors that increase stress. So one of the things you can do is sort of build in that extra time. My dad used to talk about when they were younger that they always built in time for a flat tire. When he was a young man, the quality of tires was pretty poor, and so getting a flat was pretty common. So they would always, when they were going somewhere, have an expectation that they would have to stop and change a flat tire. So kind of building that into a lot of tasks, like I call it the flat tire time, makes you feel like if it doesn't take so long, that it's, it's gravy. You got extra time and extra energy, instead of having everything on a super, super tight schedule. The things that help reduce stress, I would stay away from all of that kind of wellness industry stuff, which really wants you to buy and spend a lot of money to improve your stress. The things that really improve stress are taking a nap, resting, if you're social, visiting with friends. If you're not, getting some alone time, getting out in nature, exercise, and also just things that are creative, that feed you, that creative part of yourself. And depending on how much stress, it's sort of dose dependent. If it was a small thing, you might need, just a little bit of exercise. If the stress has gone on for months and months, you might need a really, a much longer break. And that's not always easy to get in a culture that is so demanding when it comes to work, and that there's no real social safety net that exists that allows us to rest properly. And I wanted to say also that stress, they talk about a stress cycle, and I always think about if we were animals and we were being chased by a lion. So we were an antelope being chased by a lion, and we would be scared, and we would, this is if you survive, you would run away, and then you would join your little antelope friends and go nibble on grass, and the whole episode would be over. So you would kind of go through a stress cycle very naturally. And that would happen for humans. Like, I have an exam coming up, I'm studying like crazy, I take the exam, and then I go and join my friends and we celebrate. But one of the things that causes stress is when that cycle gets interrupted by another stressful thing. It's this sort of one thing after another, after another, after another, and the system just feels like it's being pummeled. So taking breaks, stepping away, reminding yourself that you cannot fix and solve every problem, being okay with being imperfect, having a very compassionate, understanding stance towards yourself and other people, letting go of judgment, and focusing on what you can control, letting go of what you can't control. That is going to be a challenge for all of us in the coming years. We're going to try to do our best. We need to take care of each other, and we need to remember that it's possible to have a social environment in which people treat each other like they matter, that we focus on kinship, community, and connections. All of that is really stress busting.